mentorship for the EAC portfolio. She's the one who orchestrated this entire event, and we really give her a nice forward step because she's really going hard. I really appreciate the work she's putting in. Secondly, we have our very own humanities representative, Mr. Gordon. You don't know, Forza Azul outside. And also in that same breath, big up Miss Savannah herself, the EAC. You get me? I said the brains behind the operation. Today we have a host of illustrious young ladies who will be presenting to us on their perspectives on the idea that what school does not teach you. So we have Miss Lisan Gale and Miss Shajane, is I pronounce it right? Shajane Gums. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming out. Essentially, the purpose of this seminar is quite self-explanatory. The school system, as much as we wouldn't like to admit it, is flawed. And essentially what the school system teaches us is, well, for me at least, is how to regurgitate information. So I go to a class, and teacher say, okay, you have a test next week, so just wait till 2 days before you do SWAT, and you just go do the maths. You get me? So them say you're going, you have assignments due, so them just post one thing on RVLE and you do the assignments, and that's it. So essentially, we're learning how to regurgitate information, we're learning how to just pass. But that can't be enough. As university students, it is imperative that we strive to be different. At the end of the day, UWI take on UWI currently has 20,000 students enrolled. But what's the difference between you and that 10,000 or that 500 in a class? What's going to make you stand out? What's going to give you the job? What's going to give you the edge? So essentially, that's the purpose of this seminar. It's teaching us to not shy away from greatness. It's teaching us to not be afraid of our achievements. Last night I was listening to a program, and they said, well, a program, and the gentleman, he was saying that people essentially like to be, they think they're afraid of the darkness, but no, we're not afraid of the dark. What we are afraid of is the light. We're afraid of bringing out the light because people they're afraid of confidence. So at the same time, what we're trying to do here is to give you the know-hows how to operate outside of the school, give you know how to operate in society, and also how to be a cut above the rest. At the end of the day, you guys are humanities students. So therefore, automatically, you guys are from greatness and you guys exude greatness. So I won't bore you anymore. I'll actually call on I'll call on our presenter. She'll be giving us a nice, beautiful poem. You know, we breathe excellence, we breathe culture. So essentially, giving Miss Nikima the stage, you know, blow us away with your beautiful voice. Oh, Nikima, are you there?
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you now. Go ahead,
Okay,
love.
I was saying thank you for that. Welcome. Good evening, everybody. So this piece that I'll be performing is titled This Is For. So here goes. This is not for the gold digger, waiting upon the liquor rich man for dead. This is not for spoiled brats who grew up behind picket fence, tinted windows, chauffeur driven, sipping champagne on the back seat of a big Benz. This is not for Mr. Chopper phone. Hello, miss, you have just won $1 million. Or Mr. Plane just crashed with the shipment. This is not for Granny Dead Left or the gambler holding the lotto check in a big jacket, dry sole wig and sunglasses. This is for people who did have to cook the crabs and burn the barrel. People who aim and miss and have to shoot again. People who get up early, sleep late, people without beds. People who fight off gatekeepers. People who find the key pan the bully beef tin. People who travel long pan short money in the morning, then walk back home in the hot sun until the car key back burn out and the shoes mouth open. Who couldn't afford Clarks and John Porter for dress up and jeans there? but we couldn't afford the honor roll and for run on the side, so we run for our life. Just to score the little scholarship to sail out to college, we could have smoked weed when we reach. Party all night, overdose, buy pizza, KFC, Burger King, could have dressed up, could have do a lot of things because we were the first to even make it this far. Because my side no line with Velvet and Gold Star. But we move even when me don't feel the mood. Cause me born poor, but me have a dead rich. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Nikki, man, you come
Felt
out.
that. I felt that.
You come out. You come out, man. You come out. And there's something in that piece that really stood out with me. You get me? The part where you said, we move. That's honestly my anytime something go wrong, automatically. Yeah, but we move, you see me? And the whole dynamic of the poem is so powerful. It relates to me specifically. I won't lie. You get me? I said something that I embody. Because as I always tell people, I started university with like about one pants and a shoes. You get me? I say, but at the same time, we have goals, we have dreams. And what for us do, what for do. So before further ado, or without further ado, I should say, let me welcome our our mentorship program coordinator, Miss Fox, to introduce us to our first guest speaker, Miss Lisan Gale. Take the stage, Miss Fox.
Thank you so much, Javante. Actually, I'm going to ask for a little help from an all mentee. Her name is Cameron Clark. Cameron, go ahead, hon.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, are you able to see me?
Yes,
Okay.
seeing and hearing you.
Okay, great. It's the privilege is mine this afternoon to introduce the speaker, Miss Lisan Gale. So she's a second-year student of the University of the West Indies. She's pursuing a Bachelor of Fine Arts in film production at the Caribbean School of Media and Communication, CARIMAC. She is one of the production managers of the faculty's publication committee and assists in managing and producing graphics and video content for the student population. Her passions include storytelling, music, filmmaking, editing, and the performing arts. She is currently working in these fields alongside various local production and musical theater companies. Miss Gale is a filmmaker, a musician, a theater performer, and a writer. And she wishes to expertly hone these skills to become a professional cinematographer and content creator. An ultimate goal of hers is to one day found her production company, creating and featuring films that uplift and inspire others. Here to teach us balancing personal and academic goals is no other than Miss Lisan Gale. Thank you.
Hello, hi everyone. Please indicate if you can see and hear me clearly.
We're hearing and seeing you.
Okay, great. I'm just going to share my screen and jump right in.
Yes, I can hear you.
And my screen, you can see my
Screen is
presentation.
up and ready.
Everything is
Okay,
good.
great.
Go ahead.
Okay. So today I'm going to be speaking about how to balance your academic and personal goals. So let's begin by first establishing the importance of balance and the benefits that can result from making the effort to understand your goals. For the longest time, I've personally connected with the word balance because to me, balance means Wait, sorry, I'm having technical issues. Okay. Yes. So for me, balance means being organized, having peace of mind, and finding stability, especially during times when it feels like the world is spinning and your plate is full. Balance also means avoiding things like procrastination, stress, and burnout, because I've always had a lot of goals and a lot of things that I want to achieve in a certain time. I'm constantly looking for ways to balance it all. So that I'm prioritizing what needs to be achieved while also making time to do the things that excite me, keep me motivated, refresh, and rejuvenate me. You have to see balance as something you aim for so that you can fulfill a bigger vision for your life. A lecturer of mine once told me his life philosophy about how to gain success in any field. He says that there's 2 steps to achieving your personal vision of success. 1, know your goals, and 2, commit to achieving them. Now, of course, these steps will have several sub-steps under them, but indeed, these are the fundamental steps that one should note when they're trying to achieve their personal vision of a successful life. In order to achieve your vision for your life, you need to know your vision for your life. You need to know your goals and what you want to achieve. You need to know yourself. And then you can schedule, prioritize, and commit to those goals appropriately so that you can achieve them and achieve that overall vision. So let's talk about that first major step, which is knowing your goals. Or as my lecturer simply calls it, knowing what you want. Everyone is different, and as a result, we have different goals and different definitions of success. Making an active effort to know yourself and your definition of success, your goals and your dreams for your life on a deeper level is one of the most beneficial things that you can do for yourself in university and in life. Whether you have monthly sessions of self-reflection, or you make vision boards, or you do goal-setting exercises that you find online, I suggest that your first step to balancing your goals is making the effort to know what your overall vision for your life is. You can think of it like this. It's hard to know if you're winning a race if you have no idea what or where the finish line is. In the same way, we need to have a specific or general vision for what we want to achieve in life so that we know what we are working towards when we set short-term goals during our time in university. As university students, we have all probably at one point considered what we want to achieve in regards to academics, whether that's to say make the dean's list or get better grades or have a better grasp of a topic in a course. And sometimes these goals can cloud our thoughts, but I want to stress that setting personal goals is important as well. A teacher once told me in high school that you can only really fail in school if you leave school the same person you were when you entered it. And that really stuck with me because that made me realize that no one should be leaving university or any educational institution with zero growth. And that includes personal development. We should see school and education not as a burden, but as an opportunity to not only earn a degree, but as a way to network and expand your comfort zone, to develop career goals and personal goals, and become the best version of yourself. We must not allow our entire identities to be consumed by being a university student. Instead, we must ensure that we have non-academic goals and aspirations that we can pursue during our time in university, and those goals that we can achieve by using the resources and support we gain while in university. University is a time for you to learn more than what is in a textbook. It's about learning about yourself and the vision you have for your life, and then using university as the opportunity to pursue the goals that align with your overall vision. So my first suggestion is to make time to understand what you want to achieve in and outside of school, to note your overall vision for your life that you wish to lead beyond university, and then noting all of the academic and personal goals you need to achieve in order to make that vision a reality. So everyone, for a moment, I just want everyone to just close your eyes and try to imagine yourself achieving your idea of a balanced, successful life in university. And then have a short but real talk with yourself and just ponder on these questions. What do I want to achieve this semester and every semester regarding my academic and personal goals? What do I want to achieve by the end of my entire university experience? What personal development or improvement do I want to see in myself at the end of university? If answers begin to float into your mind right off the bat, then you are on your way to understanding yourself and your vision for the life you wish to lead. I believe that having a vision for your life and setting goals can be really beneficial. And it's the first step to not only balancing your personal and academic goals, but to ensure that you have aligned them with an overall vision for your life. So for me, my vision for my future is that I want to continue working in the creative industries. Specifically, I want to be a professional filmmaker, musician, theater performer, as well as I want to write stories and music for companies. This vision means that I need to strengthen my knowledge in these fields and gain an education in them, which is why I'm majoring in film production now. But it also means I need to set personal goals that align with this vision of mine. For example, I will need to network with people in and outside of school. I'll need to write more and practice producing music, better my communication skills, even boost my confidence and do more speaking engagements like this one for practice for when I need to do so professionally. Knowing my finish line helps me to know the goals I need to set, the dreams that I need to picture on my vision board for the year, down to the specific goals I write down for my daily schedule, which actually takes us to the next sub-step under knowing your goals, which is setting specific SMART goals that align with your overall vision. When setting specific goals to achieve in a day, week, month, or semester, all these goals must align with your overall vision, and they should be SMART goals. SMART goals are goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Your goals should be specific, meaning you should be clear and detailed in identifying what you want to achieve and what you hope to gain from achieving that goal, which can be as simple as stating that you want to study these specific topics for a test that you have tomorrow so that you can do well in the test. Your goals must be measurable. This means you want to make sure you set goals that you can easily track and you can know when you've completed them. For instance, instead of having a vague goal that says maybe I want to be a consistent and successful writer, you change the wording of that goal to something more measurable, like I will create a well-reviewed blog that I update every Wednesday. You want to make sure it's attainable, make sure your goals are possible, and set goals you know you can achieve in the time that you set to achieve them. Realistic, as the visual states, you want to be honest with yourself when setting goals and know what you can handle so that you can set realistic goals and expectations for yourself. And time-bound, set realistic time dates or deadlines for achieving your goals, and for major goals or assignments, break those down into smaller goals that can be achieved within more reasonable time slots. When setting daily goals or setting your goals for the month and semester and even the year, you want to set SMART goals, all of which should align with your vision for your career and personal development. Your specific goals should also be considerate of your future self. An influencer I follow always says that she does things today that will make life easier for her tomorrow self. And I've always tried to follow that principle. If I have an early class, I try to read the class material or remove distractions from my work area the night before, just to make my tomorrow self have less work to do. In this same way, you have to set daily goals with your future self in mind. The same influencer also says that it's important to schedule time for your own necessary rejuvenation, whether it's scheduling time to watch a movie, exercise, eat, eat breakfast sometimes, listen to music or take a nap. All of these things, sometimes we forget to make time to do these things that are so important. And it's always important to note these goals that will help you maintain your mental and physical health, that will keep you motivated and excite you, give you something to look forward to in the day or in the month or in the year, something that can act as a reward for working hard. For instance, maybe even schedule watching a season of a show or reading a book series after having worked and studied for your midterm exams. Scheduling major goals and academic goals are very important, but don't forget to also make time for yourself and set goals that fulfill your personal needs as an individual. In a busy week and a busy month, the balance comes in when you make time to not only prioritize your academic goals, but when you make time for your personal growth and development. It's in noting your personal growth, your personal goals, and taking time for yourself that you avoid things like burnout and unhealthy levels of stress. Thus, you must set out what personal goals you need to achieve, goals that help you to grow into the person you want to be, from simple goals like learning how to cook well or write a journal or read a book every month, to bigger personal goals like maybe setting up your personal brand or starting a business. On to the second major step, which is, of course, to do what it takes to achieve the goals you've set for yourself. When we talk about balancing our goals and achieving them, we have to talk about scheduling, prioritizing, and accountability. Now that we have set our goals and we've ensured that we aren't just trying to achieve everything under the sun, but that we have set specific goals that align with a specific vision, once we have that clarity on what goals we are trying to achieve, then we can keep a schedule and organize these goals based on priority. Having a schedule, a planner, a simple to-do list, or a marked calendar can go a long way in not only keeping you on track with all that you need to achieve in a span of time, but it can also help you to feel more in control and more capable of achieving your goals. When scheduling short-term and long-term goals, you want to know your limit, know how much you can complete in a period of time, and then you can schedule things in a way that you know will not be overwhelming for you. This is very crucial for persons like myself who have many goals and want to balance all of them well. I want to make films and do photography, and I run a business and I work for production companies. And so there's a lot that I do that includes non-academic goals and deadlines I need to meet, as well as I'm a student, of course, so I have academic goals I need to prioritize as well. Scheduling for me and many others is key to balancing all of this. I definitely recommend that after setting and jotting down all of your long-term and short-term SMART goals and your general and specific ideas surrounding your vision for your life, that you then get more specific and make schedules that outline how you wish to achieve these goals throughout the upcoming days, weeks, months, and semester. Having a schedule or some visual representation of your goals will give you an overview of what you plan to achieve in a span of time. It will give you a clear idea of what you want to achieve, and that clarity can allow you to avoid procrastination and better balance your academic and personal goals. Schedules help you to maintain balance by allowing you to clearly see times when you might have planned maybe too many personal goals in a day or a week, when you know you have a deadline for 2 important academic goals in the coming days. In essence, it helps you to prioritize so you can overcome procrastination and balance the academic and non-academic goals you want to achieve in a specific period of time. So when creating your schedules for both your academic and non-academic goals, you have to ensure that you are prioritizing what needs to be done over what you want to do in that moment. Personally, I often feel like there's an internal battle in me between what I want to do and what I need to do that day. So sometimes I find that I want to spend an entire day just working on screenplays or my writing or my other passions, and I don't want to finish the work that's due in a few days. I think that's what leads to procrastination, when you don't have a schedule that's screaming at you that this must be done first before all else. It can be so easy to just drift away and do what you feel in the moment. So prioritizing conquers procrastination. Scheduling puts things into perspective by helping you to see your goals laid out before you so you can order them based on priority. It also allows you to ensure that the amount of prioritized academic and personal goals that you plan, that they share a balanced space within your schedule, ensuring that you aren't completely neglecting schoolwork to relax or not completely neglecting personal development and your mental health to achieve only academic goals. Scheduling aids in keeping you balanced. Now, in creating your schedule, you can create a visual schedule in your phone or calendar app. Or if you're more of an auditory learner, then you can make a recording and listen to that throughout the day. Or you may need to physically write it down on paper because you're more of a tactile person. But in any and every way, you just want to solidify a schedule of your goals in some way other than just in your mind. So you know for sure what you need to achieve at the different times throughout the day, week, or month. And I think this will help you avoid procrastination, and it can help you feel less overwhelmed, especially if you ensure that you assign realistic time slots to each goal. I recommend assigning 30 minutes more to each task than you normally believe you'd need to complete that task. Once you have all the goals you need to complete in bold in your schedule, amongst other goals for the day or the week, you have realistic time slots, of course, it helps you to feel less overwhelmed because you can see that you can achieve all of those goals in the time available if you just stick to the schedule. Instead of stressing that it seems like you have a million things to do that day or that week, you instead balance your goals by having a tangible layout of the 5 to 10 key goals you know you must achieve for each course and for each day of the week, and then achieve those before attempting to do others. Once you know your key goals, you must also take steps to ensure that you complete them, and that means you have to keep yourself accountable and encourage yourself in different ways to achieve those goals and to stay productive. For instance, I set alarms in my phone for the tasks that I need to complete in the day so I don't forget to do a major task or assignment. I know others ask their friends to be their accountability partners, so they send them their schedules and ask them to keep them on track with their goals and encourage them. And then there's others who know that they have to study with people or they have to play study music in order for them to be in the mindset to get any work done. Knowing what accountability measures you can put in place to keep you on track with achieving your goals and doing your work can really make a difference. Lastly, I just want to reinforce that you must ensure that the goals that you put in bold on your schedule and in your mind are indeed the goals that you need to prioritize and those that align with your major goals. Because at the end of the day, we are accountable for ourselves. Our success is a result of what we do. Right now, our prioritized academic goals should align with our main goal of being able to graduate from UWI with our respective degrees, having a GPA we can be proud of, and having taken steps towards achieving our long-term career goals. We are all investing a lot in our education and our time here is limited, so we must make the most of our time in university. We have to ensure first and foremost that we achieve all of our major and minor academic goals, while also making the effort to consider and achieve personal goals that help us to maintain our mental and physical health and aid us to grow and become the persons we want to be beyond university. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you learned something from my presentation.
Wow. Thank you very, very much. That was an amazing presentation. In all honesty, I was moved. You get me? I think you really hit the hammer on the head. And I genuinely, I'm inspired. Unfortunately, I'm a procrastinator at heart. Is a message. I kind of jape me up a little bit. But, you get me? Where I'm not some people get japed up too, but I'm sure moving forward, we intend to, try as best possible to do better. So you touched on a lot of very interesting points for me. Some thorough points. So for instance, you delved into the idea of self-branding and networking, because at the end of the day, as I always said to my friends, is that we're here for, we get the degree and whatever, but at the end of the day, when we leave university, we forget I have a doctor friend, I have a lawyer friend, I have a police friend. You get me? I said, because that's the purpose of networking for me, you know. It's putting yourself out there. And the whole concept of knowing a finish line before you create a goal it's essential. I mean, we are humans, and obviously, you know, we don't have anything figured out. In all honesty, I don't think there's anybody who has their whole life figured out. No matter who they are, it could have been the Bill Gates, the all of them people. Everybody do have their struggles, and everybody do have you know, their things that they struggle with. However, it's a process, and Rome built in a day. So I do have a few questions for my attentive audiences. We may or may not have prizes to give away. So I will call randomly. So I will call on Miss Sabrina Bryan. I hope you're here. My question to you, Miss Bryan, is what does networking mean to you? That's cool, man. We're not targeting, man.
What does networking mean to me?
Yeah.
I guess putting yourself out there to meet a plethora of people doing different things who can teach you different things and help to further along your own goals.
Fair. Good point. All right. I really dig that answer. So, I'm a family man, so let me call on my far cousin, Miss Sarah Webster.
Hello,
So, you know, me can't hide, man. Anyway, so Sarah, I said no. Well, she was suggesting something to me. She's, you know, something about the whole idea of campus life and creativity. I want to know, Sarah, what is more important to you? What do you prioritize more? Do you prioritize the idea of getting involved, especially on campus, or are you more of a personal creative goals type person?
I think initially I was a personal type person, if that makes sense, because I was just thinking, you know, you don't know if you have the skills to lead, and people kept picking me for stuff, and I was like, no thanks, no thanks. And then somebody said I should do piece on Preston Entertainment and Cultural Ensemble. I should be the art and craft coordinator. So in that way, I got more involved, and it helped me to grow. So in getting involved, you grow yourself. So I never think that by getting involved, you're sacrificing something else, because it's two sides of the same coin. So both.
I totally agree wholeheartedly. I see Miss Alicia Thorpe in the chat laughing away, but we have something for you. I know I go drip you up to me, sure if you have fact. So Mr. How do you battle procrastination?
Hello. Okay. So I procrastinate a lot, especially because I'm in high school and I feel like I have time, but I don't have time. But sometimes I would get off my phone and I have a lot of journals, like 7 I would write, and I love to dance. So I would do stuff like that. And I have a to-do list that I try to complete everything on. But today, listen, taught me that I should make SMART goals instead of like saying that, yeah, I can do this and whatever. So yeah, that's basically what I do sometimes to stop procrastinating, but it's so hard to stop. It's like when you start, it's just so hard to stop, honestly. Thank you so much, Alicia. I really appreciated hearing from you guys and from Lisan. Lisan is our powerhouse, guys. When I tell you this girl, like, she does stuff on campus as well as off campus, you'd be amazed at some of the things that your fellow students are doing. And it doesn't always have to look in the same way. And that's one of the things that Lisan touched on, is that success doesn't have to look the same way. She emphasized, you know, your definition of success. So I have a question for you guys. I have one question for the mentors and a second question for the mentees. So I'm going to pick on the mentors first, so that the mentees have time to think about it. So yeah, from the mentors, I have a question for you. If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be? Should I pick on one of the mentors from the chat? Or should I allow you guys to volunteer?
Oh,
I just asked, welcome
got
back, Javante. I just asked them the question, the mentors, if they could give their younger self a piece of advice, what would it be? I want to pick on you first, Javante, since you come back.
my younger self.
Yes. What advice did you give your younger self?
All right. If I'm being brutally honest, guys, I think the main advice I would have given myself was to try not to be afraid of fear. You get me? I say to avoid downplaying myself, because for me personally, is a thing I suffer with. You know, the worst thing is when everybody believes in you, but you don't believe in yourself. Is it? Like it's bad when everybody's like, oh, shut up, you know, I don't care about you, and then you're like, oh no, I'm good, I'm the greatest, and everybody's like, no, you're really not. But when everybody can look at you and say, hey, you know, wow, you are actually poised. You get me? But for you now, it's hard for you to believe because you have no genuine feeling of that. So essentially, that was one of my New Year's resolutions, especially moving into 2021. Because yo, Jeff, you know, enough is enough now. Boom, forward, you see me? So if I had this mentality back then, where I'm like, yo, listen, European, you see me? You know, you can do it. You know, you are capable of doing great things. You're capable of doing things beyond your measure or beyond your scope. So I mean, if I was telling myself that, I mean, who knows where I'd have been today? But you know, we are where we are. So that's my thing.
I think it's kind of hard when you hear it from your friends, because you know your friends care about you, so you're wondering, oh, are they just telling that to you because they love you, and you know, are you really that good? You kind of question. It's not that you don't trust them, but at the same time, am I really, you know? So I have to throw this question out, the opposite question now, to the mentees, or do I have another mentor volunteer to answer that same question? What advice would you give your younger self? Let me not pick on somebody that already talking.
I think Javier can take that one still. I won't lie.
All right. Go ahead.
Hello, you hearing me?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Yeah, good night. One thing I told my younger self, well, don't be scared to take on certain challenges, because younger, I was really shy and well, not really outspoken. That's one thing I really tell myself, because if I wasn't shy and outspoken, I would be in probably better places. I would have made better decisions, and I guess life would be a bit I would know a lot more things in life, to be honest. That's one thing I tell my former self. Yeah.
All right, cool. So mentees time now, Jeff?
Yeah, man, most definitely. I think oh, Sarah, go ahead.
All right, I have a quick one. Not to fear people, because that I think is a big one, people pleasing for a lot of people. And it is a snare, as the Bible says. I'm a Christian, so take what the Bible says. Fear of man is a snare, is a trap. But whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. So when you please people, you will do things that are not beneficial to you, that are harmful to you, and you won't look at the goals that you have or the goals that God has for you because you're pleasing people. So don't please people if you're hearing this. Yeah.
Wholeheartedly agree. You know, every time I think of that concept here, I always look at YouTube. Isn't it? Just YouTube. Like, realize that regardless of whatever content is in a video, regardless, them could have talked literally a baby, like a little baby just born, or a cute baby smiling or whatever, and it's always going to be some people who dislike the video every time. So you have likes, they always have dislikes. So just whole life is generally, you get me? I say, at the end of the day, my is the day you start living to please people is the day you stop living to please yourself. You get me? So I see a mentee is over here, you know. So Akila, Akelia, yeah, you can take the floor.
You can open your mic if you're able to.
All right, so not hearing from Akela. She mentioned it in the chat, so I mean that's good enough. I'm going to pick. Oh, so the question for the mentees now. Okay, no problem, Akela. Question for the mentees now. We're switching it up in a bit. The advice for the mentees is advice you would give your future self. So you haven't met this person yet. So now we want to know what you'd give your future self. So I see Alicia went already. So I'm going to pick on, well, actually going to hit for this now, but Brianna, would you like to take the mic for a bit, Miss Rose?
Future self mentees.
I knew that was coming. I felt it.
Good. So you're ready. You're prepared.
Not really, but I guess not to let my health issues and social anxiety rule my life. It's kind of hard right now, but yeah, that's my advice to my future self.
Love that face, isn't it? Love that, man. At the end of the day, small wins, as always put it in a group, like every week, you know, it's a small win. So for me, my small wins are always small goals that I try to get by. For instance, today after our conversations, for instance, like me, all my anxiety rate is like I've never ended a conversation and be like, oh Jeff, you know, you did good. So for instance, even like when I leave the meeting, I'll be like, oh, you know, but there's some things I could have said that I could have said better, or some things that I said I shouldn't have said. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to just try to, you know, take a breather still and just sleep it off.
And half of the time, people not really amazing what you said anyway, and we're more overthinking about it more than the actual person.
It's a job. This guy is in the chat. All right. So we have, who's next? Who I can call on for that question? I don't really know the difference between the mentees and mentors. I'm trying to get to know you guys. Giovanni, Louis, would you like to take the stage as a concert?
Hey, Javante. Sure. Just repeat the question for me. Got lost in the conversation. Sorry.
The question is, as a mentee, what advice would you give to your future self?
All right. So definitely to stop seeking outward validation. I think Sarah would have touched down on it before using that wonderful scripture about, you know, pleasing man is a snare. It's a trap. And I guess I just, you know, drill it into myself day after day to stop trying to, you know, validate my own existence through other people's compliments and their value. I'm placing their value on me. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Gio. And I would like to throw this out to you. So we just asked you two simple questions and we got feedback from both mentees and mentors. And we want to make a proposal. So based on the responses that you gave us, we want to create something called Mentorship Diaries. Relax, 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 relax. We're not talking about actual, you know, written diaries, although if you have that, that's cool. That's cool too, right? But we want to create a video compilation of the responses that you gave. So we're not going to use it from this meeting, but with your consent in another medium where you guys get to record yourselves answering this question. So if you're interested, you guys can, if you're interested, you guys can message me and I will send a reminder in the group chat if you guys want to be a part of that video compilation called Mentorship Diaries. It's really that easy. So without further ado, Javante, I believe we have another awesome speaker or final speaker for the night.
Oh yes, indeed. And she, sorry, give me 1 second, something over here. So yes, so I'd like to welcome the beautiful, the illustrious Miss Kalia Dixon, yes, to introduce our guest speaker as we move on with the program.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, we're hearing you, love.
Okay, good evening. My name is Kahele Dixon, and it is my pleasure to introduce our second speaker for the evening, Miss Shajine Gomes. Shajine Gomes is a go-getter, an enthusiastic, active, and committed young woman who believes in youth with a self-motto of youth making a difference. She was born on the Twin Island Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Ms. Gomes has been well involved within her federation for many years before embarking on her university journey. Ms. Gomes is a past president and co-founder of the St. Kitts Nevis Disaster Management Youth Ambassadors. She currently serves as their advisor. She has held the title of Public Relations Officer for the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association, Debating Society, and Hiking Club. Her involvement also included serving as Youth Ambassador for Climate Change from 2015 to 2016 at her community college. She's a dancer, brown belt in Karate Shitoryu, a national volleyball player, and an amateur actress. In 2016, Ms. Gomes began her work journey with an associate's degree in general studies in hand, but unsure of the path ahead. Subsequently, she attained a marketing assistant job at the Dreamy Group, a local company, and Dreamy Weddings, a regional company that operates in 13 Caribbean islands. 3 years later, Shajine is now the marketing, sales, and social media officer. Though her rise through the working ladder was not stagnant, Ms. Gomes felt the need in 2019 to embark on her university experience to pursue a Bachelor of Arts degree in Integrated Marketing Communications at the University of the West Indies. Since then, she has hosted her Halls Dinner, became a member of the Leslie Robinson Halls Publications Committee in 2019 to 2020, and is now the Publications Committee Chairwoman of that committee, and of course, a UA volleyball player. Ms. Gomes currently wears many hats, as she not only works as marketing officer, but also co-manages another company in St. Kitts. There, Shajine holds the title of Chief Marketing Officer and engages in freelance jobs occasionally, all while being a full-time university student. I'd like you guys to help me welcome Miss Shajine Gomes.
Wow. Good night, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Great. Narelle, are you ready as well?
I'm ready.
Okay, you could pull it up whenever. So you'll just have to pause it in between. So, good evening, everyone. I'll be discussing the topic, what school doesn't teach you about work. And I just want it to be as interactive as possible. You can ask questions at the end, and I'll try to be as brief as possible as well. So without further ado, we get right into it with the work culture. You can. So now being both an employee and an employer, this is something that truly speaks to me. When I feel like, when I make the reference to the workplace culture, it's like, how does the workplace that you want to work in operates? Because each working place has a different culture. So you can, for instance, be working at a bank and be in the marketing office of a bank and feel as though it will be the same way to be the marketing officer at an events company. So everyone knows, or some of us here may know, like the first question someone asks you when you go into an interview is, how could you add value to the company? And I know sometimes schools would now want to have like resume writing, and even in some of our courses, they may try to really push us to know how to have an interview. It's just really and truly boils down to the type of job that you're applying for. So you'll need to know the work culture of where you're applying for. So no matter what position you're applying for, one of the first questions, as I said, would be what makes you think that you are the most suitable person for the position. The workplace culture is something you would have to research on your own and identify the dynamics of what the company does, perhaps the operations, what it entails, and more as in cases, perhaps who they've hired before. You can probably talk to a friend, talk to someone about it, if you know anyone who has ever been there at the company that you're applying to go to. This means, and then sometimes the work culture, depending on the type of business it is, whether it's a large business or a small business, you may find that sometimes they call upon you to do tasks that might not necessarily be in your job description, but in the beginning, at your contract, they may even have something in the subtitles like, oh, so this is your post, you may be the marketing assistant, but they may have something that says, and any, like, to request any other skills from you in the event that they need it. So you need to be aware of these things to know if that job is something that you would be able to handle, and even better know how to sell yourself, because you can go in there and say, as per my resume, you know, I also
It's 8 o'clock.
skills. Sorry about that. I also have these skills, where they would now say, oh, Noel, she's applying for the marketing assistant, but Noel also has good photography skills. She can also help out in other ways for the company. So school prepares most persons with the ideal grades, but at the end of it, there's no doubt about it that the employers will not only focus on your grades alone. They'll focus on more than your grades. They'll focus on how you can actually bring substance to the company. So next slide. So this next slide is how to keep the job. So you've just got the job, you've nailed it, and you're there. And every day on a job is a learning experience while there, similar to school. However, while at school, the beginning of the school year, you realize that you get like a nice course outline, everything is well detailed. They say in March, this is when you're gonna have your mid-semesters, then in May, this is when you're gonna have your finals and everything. You know when everything is due, how much it's worth, and what you should write about. But in the working world, it's not necessarily like that. Depending on your job, it could be similar to that, but your boss will dictate some things to you. And yes, she or he will fill you in on some of the major events of the company. However, most ideas are on you, depending on your position. For instance, in my bio, it said I'm the marketing officer at a company in St. Kitts. For one, I have to like come up with the ideas, drive sales, do the Instagrams, calls, all sorts of things. So it's like, you know what you have to do. And I'll touch a bit more leading down into it. And you just need to make sure that you do it in a timely manner. And everything is based on you and what you have to work with the company. For instance, I might kind of talk about marketing in a sense, because that's the area I'm in. So for instance, with that, you'd have a budget for marketing, and you'd want to know how best can I allocate this budget, and maybe even go be above and beyond with this budget, share different concepts with the company that would help them to acquire some insights without spending a large budget. This also has to do with how you dress for work, how you communicate with not only your employer, but your other colleagues as well. That will help you to keep the job. Moving forward. So another thing, in school, typically majority of your colleagues are in your age category. No one is really too much older than you. No one is really truly too much younger than you. But from the time you step out into the working world, you find that you may be the youngest in the office. And that in itself kind of bring a sort of a rift at times. So So in school, like it's easier to relate to people because they're in your age range. And also usually you're graded based on the same thing. And when you're in the working world, it exposes you to many people who are older than you, perhaps younger than you sometimes, and you have different beliefs and experiences. Everyone may have the same task, but in different ways, which you need to complete it. In school, sometimes, you can pick your own group members or persons who you wish to communicate with, and perhaps try to affiliate and try not to affiliate yourself with persons who you might not have certain things in common. But when you're in the working world, like at your job, you can't just decide, okay, Sarah upsets me, I'm not going to speak to Sarah, because it can really, really have a rift in the workplace. And what you don't want is to be working with people that it's just toxic. Like you really, really don't want to have that. You need to, as some people would say, gel. And that would make the whole working experience much better, because imagine you go to work at 8 in the morning, you go home at like 4 or 5 o'clock. You really don't want to spend majority of your day with people that you don't mesh with, you don't have anything in common with, you don't, like basically you don't quote unquote like them. So you just have to keep the peace in the office, no matter what the individual may do. And trust and believe, I'm not saying that you should tolerate someone who may offend you, but there are different means for you to handle the situation, such as you can go to your superior and report it, but never take matters into your own hands, where it could lead to a breakdown in teamwork. And that's the other thing we'll touch on, why teamwork is important. I mentioned above that, in school you have group works, and sometimes you pick your colleagues who you want to work with. But in the working world, you don't really pick them. You just, the employer picks you, you come in, and then that's when you start to see all the other people who you would have to be working with. And teamwork is very, very important. We all know that in school, as I said, you pick your team. Oftentimes, some members aren't contributing. In the end, in school, it may affect your grade. However, in the workforce, it can affect whether you keep the job or not, because depending on how the situation plays out, your employer would have to let one of you go. And it's really not that serious for you to not have teamwork where one of you have to go. And oftentimes it's usually the person who just comes in, not the person who's been there for 10, 15 years. And there are daily performance measures that you will need to meet as well. Moving forward now. So Lisan touched a bit on scheduling, and I'll touch more on it. Scheduling is very, very, very important in the workplace. So while in school, you really want to ensure that you really take serious your scheduling, because it gets even more serious when you enter the workplace, because you would have meetings, you would have tasks, you would have projects, you would even have events, you would have so many things, and you still have your own personal life. And it's not just good to say, okay, I'll remember it. Oftentimes you really don't remember it. Like sometimes I feel as though I remember something, and then it's like 2-3 days leading up to it, and I'm just like, wow, I really thought I couldn't forget this, but I end up forgetting it. And I'm like, I really can't believe it. So whether you use Google Notes, Google Calendar, notes, a physical notebook, you really, really want to ensure that you make notes. And depending on your field of work, you always need to follow up on someone. So you want to make sure that you make intensive notes. So it's like you have something coming up, you need to contact 3 persons, you make sure you contact them within a timely manner and everything. So nothing just comes up haphazardly and then they're like, oh, well, she contacted me the day before, and that's not how you do things. You need to contact people way in advance, because you never know how their schedule is. And moving forward to the daily performance that you would have while at work. So your daily performance is very, very important. And this is basically how you manage yourself on a daily basis. Are you always late? Are you not dressing properly? Are you always tired when you're on the job? How do you function while you're at work? Are these questions being asked about you? And then it's always something negative. You always want to have a positive image in the work world. And sometimes in schools, you might not perhaps care how your image is, because at the end of the day, once you hand up your work and it's properly done, you get a grade. But at the end of the day, in work, it's not all about how well you can do the job, it's actually how well you can conduct yourself as well. So you always want to make sure you're early, you're punctual, and even if you're running a bit late, you always want to ensure that you inform your employer that you're running late, because you do not want to constantly have a bad reputation. You want it to be in a case where if something is happening, they feel as though, oh, this is not like Sarah. Sarah doesn't usually come to work late. And then they'll even be more understanding towards you, because they'll then know that this is not something that usually happens. And now we're going to move to time management. So as Lisan said, time management is very, very important, not just in school, but in the work world as well. This might not be something new, again, because we do it in school and we constantly keep doing it. We always hear how one should manage their time. You never want to spend too long on a task while at work either. Same way when you're in school, you don't want to spend too much time on this one assignment and then you neglect the others. So then you start rushing it. In the workplace, you don't want to spend too much time on one task and you realize you're taking too long on it and afraid to ask for help. You always need to ask for help in the event that you realize you're staying too long on this task, you don't understand it, and you just need to move forward, because at the end of the day, your boss is going to look at it and he or she is going to be like, well, I gave Sarah this task to do and 2-3 days gone. Trust and believe, you don't want days to go. You want to try get it out as soon as it comes in. And then, you just really, really need to get it done. And your job could really be dependent on it, because if in the event that they realize that you have poor time management skills, it'll sink in very bad with them. And they'll just say, well, perhaps we need to find someone else who can manage their time better. Perhaps this person isn't ready for the job. And so this then goes to, how can you prioritize and plan your daily tasks? No? So as I mentioned, whereas in school, you would have weeks, even months to complete an assignment. Some jobs have daily things to do. One of your to-dos may be to check your emails every morning, and trust and believe when you get into the office, you'll always want to make sure that you check your emails. You always want to ensure that you prioritize tasks based on the importance, whereas you would have 5 courses in school and all of them are equally important. So you equally need to make sure that all of them are done by the time the deadline is there. It would be for you now in the work field to know which tasks are more important. So for instance, your boss might give you something to do and perhaps she gives you 5 things to do, but you do 4 of the 5 things and the one that you missed out would have been the important task. So you always want to make sure when they give you something to do, you ask them, so which one is most important? What do you think I should work on first? What can I, have more time doing? And trust and believe, your employer will be more than happy to tell you which task you should prioritize. Noel? And in the working world, networking is very important. As Javante said in the beginning of this, he was talking about he would have a lawyer friend, a doctor friend, a police friend. It's the same way within the working world, because networking is very important. You never know where you will end up in life and what part of the world you might decide to live or even work in the near future. So you want to make sure that while in the working world, you make as many connections as possible. So you just don't interact with your colleagues alone. You interact with persons who interact with the business. So you make different connections for those who are closely related to your career path, because it might be a journalist today and then you end up becoming a marketer. So by doing this, you will ensure that you make meaningful connections with individuals who can assist you, or even you can assist them later down in life. As with any job, you should be thinking about the long term. And Lisa also spoke about you wanting to plan for the long term and not just planning for today or tomorrow or even next year. You're supposed to be planning for at least 5 years ahead. Next slide. So again, if you're going to school just to get grades and leave, then that might hinder you when you want a job, because again, you will need some sort of social skills unless you own your own business and you hire someone to do all the communication for you. Even then, you need proper communication skills to communicate with that same individual. Social skills allow you to function better within the office or workplace, because everyone generally feels comfortable or even like that person who asks everyone, how are you doing? Are you okay? How was your day yesterday? Like, these little things can really be impactful in the workplace, because sometimes your coworker can be so stressed, but the time you ask her or him, so how are you doing? You know, you can always talk to me. Then it makes them feel very, very comfortable. It makes the working environment a lot easier. It doesn't feel strained. You don't feel as though you're stressed during work, because you might not be the person doing it, but someone might do it for you, and then you feel better because you now know that in the working place, you have someone to speak to. Next slide. Okay. So being outside the box. Again, Javante touched on this. School generally wants you to provide them with information that they would have taught you over the course of the semester. But with work, you need to know how to apply yourself based on the scenario. Sometimes a boss might tell you to do something or handle a situation one way, but when you're actually in the situation handling it, you realize there's a much better way to do it. And in fact, she might have told you something that could even make it worse, or you could find something that makes it 2 times easier to do. Now, if you understand the situation and realize there's a better option, it's always better to go with your gut, because if you don't do it and you go back to them, and in school, your lecturer loves when you come to them sometimes and you ask them questions, because it makes you look as though you're a very attentive student, you're on your A game. But in the workforce, it's a bit different. Like, your boss don't want someone who keeps coming to them every single time they have an issue, because it makes them feel as though they have to micromanage you. They can't leave you there by yourself, or you're going to make a mistake. And trust me, you will make a mistake, but it's just how you logically think about things and ration things out. You're less likely to make a mistake. And being outside the box and confident in yourself, you will showcase a leadership trait that your boss will love. No one feels comfortable when they have to micromanage someone, or they come to them for every situation. One should try to come with a solution before they even come with a problem. Because one thing I like to do, if I see that there's a problem, I'm not gonna just go to my boss and tell her, hey, this is a problem, whatever. I would go to her and say, something happened, but I feel as though I know how to solve it. If it's something detrimental in a sense, because I really don't go to my boss. I usually take things upon myself and do it, because that's the only way you will learn. And me doing that for so many years, sometimes she doesn't even want me to go to her. She's just like, handle it. And then I just handle it. And that's the type of confidence you want your boss to have in you. And again, I go back to reference it to school, where your lecturers will always like you to come to them and ask them questions. It's best for you to just really sit, figure it out, go to them only if you really, really can't solve it. And that would only happen if it's like your first month, 2 months, 3 months in on the job, because by the time you're in your 4th month, 5th month, you realize you'll adapt to the work culture, where you'll know how they do things, so you'll know how to handle it. And we're gonna go to the next slide. So Lisan also touched on this. So school and work is very related, but there are just certain differences in it. And again, no, I'm sure we've all heard the saying, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So it is greatly encouraged to not only think about work alone, as this can hinder your productivity. Yes, it's good to stay back a few hours after work, but at the same time, you don't want to continue to do it every day, because again, as Lisan said, you will get a burnout, and you're going to realize that you're coming to work in the morning, and that's when you start to feel tired. That's when all sorts of things start to crash and just come down, because you're not really giving yourself time to relax or even think about other things other than work. So yes, employers want you to give them time, but at the same time, you need to understand that they need to give you time as well. And with proper communication, that will be done. So they won't demand too much from you, nor would you feel as though you have to overexert yourself. You never want to overexert yourself. And we're coming close to the end, and I felt as though I should have had some honorable mentions, as this doesn't necessarily, you could change it. This doesn't necessarily have to do with the work place exactly, but it has to do with work life. And that's basically how to manage your money. So for this, you would go through life working, and you'd realize you're getting the money after you receive the job, but how are you spending the money? Like, are you efficiently spending it? I would recommend like saving 10 to 20% of your monthly salary or even weekly wage, as times as all of us experiencing COVID right now. Imagine imagine if this happened to you 5 years in the future. Would you have savings? Like, a lot of people never had savings, and you want to make sure that you at least try to get a savings account, because you could really pass up on the latest shoes or the latest watch or the latest fashion, and just ensure that you really save your money for a rainy day. And even when you're buying your groceries, you don't really want to overspend on it. You want to make sure you have money for gas if you have a car, money for taxi fare if you need to take a taxi, and also the different taxes that are deducted from your salary. Now, I mention this because sometimes an employer might not necessarily tell you about all the deductibles. You should really look into making sure that you yourself know about all the deductibles, like Social Security. Do you have a life insurance? Do you have a health insurance? And then before you even apply for the job, or even in the interview process, if they have a 2-stage process or anything, you want to make sure that the salary that you obtain really can provide for, your life after some of those deductibles are gone. And you need to make sure that you know how to not really forget how to manage your money, and how to make sure that when you perhaps get a life insurance, you get the proper one. Like these little things, some people take a loan, but they don't know what a loan is. So you need to make sure you educate yourself on these things, so at the end of the day, you don't end up in debt or anything. And this is the end of my presentation. If there are any questions, concerns, anything you got lost in, I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for that beautiful presentation, Ms. Gum. It was extremely, extremely beautiful. And you touched on a lot of important facets that we need to take into consideration. At the end of the day, as I always say, we're here for the degree, but at the same time, the degree won't secure us a job. At the same time, working and surviving in an environment conducive is important for us, especially as university students and as young professionals. Well, this time we're behind time indeed. So I'll just call on the director herself, Miss Noel Fox, the amazing, the great, to deliver the vote of thanks for this evening's seminar.
Thank you, Javante. I want to thank everyone who played a part in contributing to this event. Thank you so much, Lisan and Shajini, our speakers. Thank you to Javante Webster, our host. And I want to pay a special thanks to our poet who had to leave out because she has a test for tomorrow. I know you guys have mid-semester, so I really appreciate you guys for coming out. Nekima Bell was our poet, and her poem was entitled "This Is For," and I really, really love that poem. Thank you guys. Continue to shine however you do choose to shine, and continue learning outside of the classroom and inside the classroom. See you guys next time. And whoa, this, you guys, this is going to be happening next week, Monday, not tomorrow, Monday, next week, Monday, or for International Women's Day or live panel on Forza Azul. If you guys have the time to log in, go ahead. You guys have to catch this live on our YouTube page. Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.